I don't know where I was when I first found out about the three-toed Amphiuma, but I do remember thinking, wait, another one? Because, I'll be honest, I thought I had a good grasp on the different types of amphibians. Frogs and toads, salamanders and newts, and caecilians. If you asked me what a caecilian was, I'd say it's a legless amphibian, kind of like if a snake was an amphibian. They look like eels. What more can I say about them? If you ask me to define a salamander, then I would say it's like an amphibian who looks similar to a lizard with, a tail and a larval stage, who excretes mucus out of their skin, like a lot of amphibians do. And now, these definitions are pretty accurate in both orders' descriptions. Salamanders are in the order of Urodela, and caecilians are Gymnophiona. Yes. When I saw the three-toed Amphiuma, I thought, wow, a new species of Gymnophiona, but with legs. That's crazy. We must be witnessing part of their evolution where they're evolving legs. But that hypothesis implies that they need legs. Well, the thing is, they don't need legs. And they're fossorial. Burrowing species that's also semi-aquatic, that burrows in super moist burrows, like deep in mud. And it's the sloppy kind of mud too, where it's like partially liquid. So they don't really need legs for that. So no, caecilians are not evolving legs, though that would be interesting, but no, they're not. The Amphiuma is actually salamanders that are slowly losing their legs, which is crazy. I mean, usually the species who evolve to lose legs, like, legless lizards and whatnot, have already lost their legs at this point in history. I have a theory. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's my theory. My theory is perhaps in an ecologically slow environment, such as, a bayou or a swamp or whatever, maybe their evolution is slowed down. This would also hold up if you look at other salamander species slowly losing their legs, like lesser sirens, greater sirens, olms, all who live in olms specifically live in ecologically limited caves in Slovenia. Greater sirens and lesser sirens both live in swamps and bayous. Slow evolution or not, it's pretty cool to get such a neat insight into their evolution like this. Times like these, you'd call their arms and legs vestigial, which, for a part of their body to be vestigial, means that it's kind of like a remnant of a once fully working but no longer working to the same extent body part, such as like the vestigial lungs of a amphisbaenid, for instance, or of some snakes, which people say have two lungs. Some people say have one lung, but the truth is they have one big lung and one really tiny lung that barely works. And that's why the tiny lung would be called vestigial. Sidebar, did you know that the appendix in people is known as like one of the classic examples of a vestigial organ, because it's, the remnant of a once working thing that had a purpose and now not so much? I had no idea. At this point, I am hooked on the three-toed Amphiuma. I mean, what even is an Amphiuma? Well, currently, there are only 2 other species known as Amphiumas right now. It makes their Wikipedia page look a lot more like a countdown than a list of species. I mean, 3 toes, 2 toes, 1 toad. In all species, their locales are the same. Their mating rituals, what they eat, their lack of lungs, their lack of a tongue, everything. The only difference, as is apparent from their common names, is their number of toes, with a maximum of 3. 3 toes, not even 5. They didn't talk about this in my comparative anatomy class. Wait a second, what do the hands of the one-toed Amphiuma look like? What the hell? That's not even a hand or a feet. That's a tentacle. Crazy stuff. But the fact that it's normal to them is all that matters. So it's normal to me as well. Here's a fun fact. Fishermen of the bayous of southeastern United States dub all Amphiuma as Congo snakes, which is a curious name considering they are neither snakes nor from the Congo, or the Democratic Republic of Congo. But why do they call them this? Well, although this is a very commonly documented name, nobody seems to list why they call it that. They just say they do. I don't have any first-hand accounts of it. All I know are that some herpetologists are joking around like, look at these guys, they're calling it a Congo snake. You know it's not a reptile, and also not from the Congo, and they also call it a Congo eel, which it's not a fish, and eels are fish. And this is an Amphiuma, which is very different. Which, yes, it is, yes, it's very different, yes. But why are they calling it that? I have a theory. So, there exists a species of fish, I think native to Florida, Everglades, I'm pretty sure, that's called the congrid eel. And my guess is at one point there was a group of fishermen, and you know, they were doing their fisherman things, and one of them caught a Mr. Amphiuma on the end of his rod. And he looked at it and said, "What the hell is this thing?" And then his buddy was like, "Oh yeah, I caught a long thing like that. I think it's called like a congrid eel. They call them congrid eels." And so then he goes to his bar later and talks to his bar buddies about that. Like, dude, you won't believe it. On the other end of my rod the other day, I got Congo eel, or like it was like this weird snake thing. Congo eel is what my buddy called it, I think. And then from there, you know, like a game of telephone. I mean, it probably didn't happen exactly like that, but you understand. It's like it slowly morphed over time because of one misidentification, which, hey, I don't blame them for it. We've all done a misidentification at least once if you've tried identifying species before and have done it enough times, then you will misidentify at least one species in your life. I mean, geez, I don't want to think about the time when I misidentified a corn snake as a bull snake. Yikes, that's embarrassing. All right, let's take another look at the three-toed Amphiuma. Don't let their underdeveloped, completely blind eyes fool you. This animal is a cold-blooded carnivore, literally. Their diet in the wild consists of crawdads, crawdads, or like crayfish or crawfish. What are they called? Muddy buddies? I don't know. Also, did you know that crawdads have a scientific study dedicated to them, and it's called Astacology? Not to be confused with astrology. Anyways, aside from eating crawdads, they also live in the crawdads' burrows. They eat the homeowner, and then they just move in. What else are you gonna do? There are some cases of Amphiumas tunneling in the burrows to and from one another, expanding the crawdad burrows until they connect, sometimes during mating season. That's interesting. Aside from the crawdads, though, they also eat annelids, skinks, various mollusks, baby turtles, and insects, both in and off land. Yes, even terrestrial insects are not immune to being the Amphiuma's dinner. This is because Amphiumas can also partially go on land. Ideally, not for long. The longest distance they've been out of water was like 2 meters. They only leave during drought periods, and even then it's a rare sight. Usually during drought periods, they slow their metabolism. They do brumation, kind of, except it's not specifically during winter, it's just during drought periods. Here's something to keep in mind. They eat majority crawdads, which, as you might know, are hard-shelled crustaceans. They do eat them, shell and all. How powerful of jaws do you need to bite down on the entire shell of a crustacean and then swallow it? Pretty strong jaws, as well as 2 rows of teeth. And with this in mind, if you ever come across an Amphiuma, do not pick it up. As is typical with amphibians, they like to be left alone. But also, you will not like to be bitten by them. Their jaws, not to mention their 2 rows of teeth, are very painful to get bitten by. So, I mean, don't. Amphiumas really are strange. I still can't believe they're salamanders. But something else that they do that's completely out of the norm for salamanders is internal fertilization. Usually, amphibian mating involves the male dropping a sperm package, or a spermatophore, onto the river floor, and then the female walks up to it and sucks it up like a vacuum. Amphiumas take a more direct approach and just go in all the way. But they don't do it just once. In fact, every male has 5 clusters of cloacal glands, those being the dorsal pelvic glands, vent glands, Kingsbury glands, and anterior ventral glands within their singular cloaca. The current theory is that this adaptation aids in mating with multiple females in quick succession, but this has yet to be seen. And out of all the stuff I've read on these guys, this is the only claim, other than the fisherman saying calling it a Congo eel, that I can't seem to find the source of. So take it with a grain of salt. Either way, we know for certain that there is a lot of mating going on with this species. However many cloacal glands, the females always lay from 30 to 250 eggs during mating periods. Egg gestation takes 4 to 5 months, and it takes another 3 to 4 years before the amphiumas who hatched out of the eggs can start mating again. One part of mating that is contested among Amphiuma fans is biting. Do they bite each other during mating? It's unclear, though probably not. What we do know about biting is that it's common to see bite marks on both the male and female Amphiumas, and both the adults and juvenile Amphiumas. So even the babies aren't safe. And the bite marks are not unique to breeding season either. Fresh bite marks are found well out of that 2-month span, so we just don't know. We do know that bite marks line up with the dental pattern of Amphiumas, so it can't be from predators or any other species. And it's definitely not from being territorial, because then it would only be on adult males rather than male and females and children. The main theory is they result from feeding frenzy type foraging, which perhaps, I guess you could call my theory that as well, which my theory is that, okay, keep in mind their lack of eyesight. Additionally, keep in mind their lack of tongues. So right away, they're missing 2 major ways of sensing their surroundings. But also note their big noses. Who else has a nose like that? Sharks! Sharks can not only use their noses to smell something, but they can detect where the smell is flowing from based on the current of the water and how it hits their nostril. But they can also detect vibrations, or rather irregular movements in the current. Now, do we know for sure that Amphiumas have shark noses, or at the very least, the way that can use their nose the way that sharks use their nose? No. In fact, we don't know anything about the Amphiuma's nose because nobody has looked into that. But if I had to guess, I would say that when Amphiumas are hungry, they start paying attention to the way the current hits their nose. If they sense any thrashing or movement, they go straight for it, bite first, ask questions later. As a result, their mistakes are plentiful, and they quite often bite one another. But they figure out eventually that what they're biting into is the meat of their buddy. It probably has either a specific taste, maybe because of the mucus, or just because that's how the meat tastes, or maybe they have pheromone detection. I don't know if they have a Jacobson's organ. Nobody has said otherwise, or has said that they do, so I don't know. But maybe pheromones. I don't know. And then they let go, and then they keep looking. That's just my theory, though. But currently, their population as a whole is judged by the IUCN Red List as least concern. Great! Their population is stable, and they're doing all right. Their only current threats are overfishing, since crawdad fishers tend to accidentally catch amphiumas in addition to their crawfish. Another potential threat is the reptile and amphibian trade. Uh-oh. As you know, there's a little someone called Underground Reptiles who is based in Florida, and they happen to sell amphiumas. Wild-caught ones, that is. Which may or may not be the ones that are caught in by crawdad fishers, because there's a big crawdad fishing industry in Florida. You have no idea how tempting it is for me to reach out and say, hey, could I buy one from you? Or could I buy 2 from you, a male and female, so I can start a breeding project of amphiumas and can start the only captive bred population that they have, and also learn about them through captive breeding? But I won't. I'll work on my current projects. And I think that's it. Shout out the three-toed Amphiuma. They are very cute. They serve as a great example of species evolving to lose traits. And they are very cool, they're very cute, and very sweet. And I think that's all we know about them. Okay, see you later. Have a good one. Bye.